Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries and brokers across the country. And joining me on this segment is Ross Haymes. He's with Transworld Business Advisors out of Denver. Ross, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mark.
Ross, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically tell us who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping and working with.
Well, we focus on the small business end of the market, anything from a solopreneur up to maybe 50 employees in the business, and valuations generally under a million, but we have done deals into the 20 million range.
Right on. So these business owners, they're great at grow, but when it comes time to selling, how many of the business owners that you run into really know where to start?
Somewhere near zero. Very few of them know what to do, and those who think they know don't really know.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because one of the inspirations of this series is really to shine a light on uh, what's really needed to sell a business today. Tell us what are sort of the myths or misconceptions that people have out there in regards to selling a business? What do you hear?
Well, the biggest one is the value of the business. Uh, we were just dealing with a business owner earlier this week who said, my business is worth $1 million. And when we drilled down, it was like, well, he does a million in revenue, but his earnings are only about 200,000. So small businesses trade on a multiple of earnings. And that includes not only what they report as taxable income, but the owner's income, other benefits that the owner receives by being the business owner. And that's the baseline. And then we use a market multiple determined by research on comp sales of similar businesses, similar size. And that multiple usually ranges somewhere between 2 and 3 times their annual earnings. So that business that does $1 million in revenue was probably sell for at most 500,000.
So, Ross, for these owners that they don't know where to start in selling a business, um, how far in advance should they start planning to sell their business, and what types of things do they have to do to prepare it to sell?
Well, that's sort of one of my hot buttons. I see too many people come to me when they're forced into liquidation or selling the business. Uh, Usually a health problem or they're just burned out. And there's not as a lot we can do with that when they show up in that condition. We just have to work with what they got. But if they take a year, maybe 3 years, ideally, and start getting the business in shape, documenting the procedures, if possible, getting a successor, a general manager next in line to run the business, so the institutional knowledge of that business doesn't walk out the door when the owner leaves. That's really one of the things that depresses value of the business. If you've got a staff that can carry on without the owner, business is worth an extra multiple than opposed to one that's totally dependent on the owner.
A lot of owners aren't aware of the services that an intermediary or a broker can help them with. Can you give us a 10,000-foot view or shine a light on like how they benefit from working with an intermediary and what you sort of take off of their hands and what you can do for their value?
Well, I always tell owners that you have a job already running your business. You don't need the full-time job of being a business broker as well. And like I said, you don't know what you're doing there. Why not work with somebody who does this all the time? We start with evaluation. We market the company, assemble a package of information. We promote it to buyers, and then we negotiate with buyers, and we bring in legal help to close the deal. So we're with you from start to finish, closing a deal.
So we're coming out of a pandemic now, and a lot of folks, it's triggered them to say, hey, it's time to sell this business that we've been holding on to. But at the same time, they're wondering, hey, is this a good time to sell a business with everything going on? What have you found in your area? Is it a good opportunity to sell a business today?
We're actually seeing increased activity for probably the last year plus, and multiples are increasing. People are paying more for better businesses because there's buyer competition. I'm working one deal right now where the buyer I'm representing was one of four buyers who put in offers, and he won out because he went a little above asking. Plus, he could close more quickly. So there's competition for good businesses. If you're not making money, people are not going to be clamoring to buy the business. But it's a good, solid business. There's more buyers out there than there is demand.
Ross, what inspired you to become a business intermediary? Take us back a little bit and give us a little bit of your journey and tell us how you got started.
I call this my career 3.0. I went to graduate school and got out and went with a large multinational company. Thought I would do the corporate thing for my career. Worked my way up through there and was working as the investor relations officer for a public company. And then we got caught in a industry roll up and all management got fired. So I needed something else to do. So I started looking around for a small business. And that was my first encounter with business brokers. I was looking at businesses and I talked to a number of brokers to find the right business to acquire. I found one, bought it, ran it for a few years, and had it shaped up to the point where it was no longer a full-time job. So I was just looking for something else to do to keep me busy. And I just ran across an opportunity to join Transworld. We were just, the office here in Denver was only about a year old and they were expanding brokers. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. It's like, oh yeah, I've got a solid financial background from my corporate days. And now I've been in the trenches as a small business owner. So I really know what's going on. And I can explain the numbers part to the owners who really don't have that background typically.
That's terrific. The experience on both ends, on both sides of the table. Ross, before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners that are considering selling today in today's economy?
This is probably be your best opportunity for the next 2 or 3 years for a number of reasons. One, there's a lot of people looking for businesses to buy right now. The demand is greater than the supply, and we see an environment of increasing interest rates. And since most businesses acquisitions are done with an SBA loan that's tied to the market rate, they become less affordable as interest rates go up. So it's really a sweet spot right now.
Ross, for folks listening, business owners considering selling, if they'd like to connect with you, how do they find you and learn more?
Well, probably the easiest way is go to my website. It's bizbrokerross.com. That's bizbrokerross.com.
Ross, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity.
That was Ross Haymes with Transworld Business Advisors out of Denver. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.